what you do from day one as a founder is so important because it just sets the tone and the course for how you do everything. And if you don't respond to an email, if you don't respond to a customer, if you just do things slow, well, guess what? That gets approval. Well,
Yep.
wow, gee, the founder doesn't reply to emails, so I don't have to reply. And they don't return calls, so I guess it's not on me. He or she doesn't do it. Well, and then, a year into the business, they wonder, God, why are we struggling? Why is no one working? It just veers off course. You may have a great product or an amazing service, but the world says, I don't care because you don't care. And so setting that from day one has to be intentional.
It
But
does. Yes.
man, it is so hard because it's like, oh, should we bring the pancake man in and a magician? Or, you know, should we? It's just how you do things. And so if you are set out as a founder, you don't get that opportunity very often.
Yeah.
And have you seen where companies go through transition that all of a sudden that culture shifts and changes?
Well, I'll tell you what I have seen, what's coming off the top of my head right away. And this is at both Office Depot and Sports Authority. Both of those were stressed cultures. They're stressed results. And by the way, that does tend to hurt if there was a good culture and the leadership is not being completely intentional about maintaining a good culture. Culture can erode right along with those results. Um, so when I came into Office Depot and both Office Depot and Sports Authority, and I'll tell you, I saw the proof in the pudding, both at Hayneedle when we were both there. It was so natural, but we really did care about people. So we wanted to know if they were feeling good about themselves at the end of the day, if they felt
Yeah.
empowered, if they felt like they were making impact, and as well as another company. So when I go in Office Depot and Sports Authority, those are huge companies. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of stressed culture. What I focused on was building a team in both of those areas. I built a team from maybe 4 or 5 to up to 60 in a very short period of time. And I wanted to be sure that the thing I can control was my culture and my team. I had to focus on that. And that meant that when I hired people, I was intentional about showing that I cared. Again, I wasn't doing things like buying dinners or, buying dartboards or
Right.
whatever. I was simply showing that I cared that they could succeed. I cared that they were motivated. I cared um, that they were doing things that they were having fun doing. Having fun is an interesting question to ask to people, by the way. How often do founders have a conversation with one of their employees and say, "Are
Yeah.
you having fun today?" And that was a intentional every day, every week sort of thing. And then once I built that team and I felt they were melding and getting we had high levels of engagement. What I wanted to do to make it stick and just add a little bit more to it was we did team building events. We did these monthly, like 2 or 3 hour offsite events. I had these little things going on. I actually had a team on my team, like a small group, making sure that we were intentional about spending time together.
Yeah.
And those things are, to me, just as impactful to our business results. And I proved it over and over again. I think that was a piece of the puzzle. I'll give you the example we talked about with Sports Authority, how my team and myself grew that business from 50 to 250 million in 2 years. We were the team, the small team was at the bottom of the totem pole in the employee engagement survey that was given about 60 days after I joined.
Nice.
That group of 4 or 5 that I had, we were literally at the bottom of all departments. Within a year and a half, we were at the top of the employee engagement survey of all the departments. And we were still very stressed for results in the bigger picture of Sports Authority.
What was the one or two things you did to really shift that? Because that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Again, it's just these little, I think you said this when we were talking before. It's these little micro moments you don't need to do. And you and I talk about this all the time. We don't need to do big things. You just need to show you care.
Yeah.
You care that people are enjoying themselves. And to your point about like founders or leaders, maybe put them in both the same bucket. What you do is going to be what your team does.
Yeah.